Have you ever wondered why diamonds are so valuable? And if they really are worth so much, where should you look to find them? Well, these might seem like tough questions to answer, but if you know the right answer, your life could change forever. So stay with me for a few seconds, because today you'll learn how to find diamonds in nature and make money from them. But first, we need to break a myth. Many people believe that all high-value diamonds are locked away in high-security vaults, accessible only to the ultra-rich. In reality, many of them are still lost in nature, just waiting for the right person to find them. So pay close attention. Who knows? After watching this video, you might be one of them. Now, imagine that during a walk in nature, you're lucky enough to find a rough diamond. What would you do? If your answer was to keep it, congratulations. Most people would simply ignore the opportunity because they think it's impossible. Hard to believe? Later in this video, I'll tell you a real-life story of a man who sold a diamond worth $15 million for just $500, simply because he didn't know what he had in his hands. Today, you'll also see all the different shapes a rough diamond can have, so you don't end up overlooking a fortune in the form of precious stones. So if you live near a river, a stream, or even a waterfall, you might be walking right over undiscovered treasures without even realizing it. Just to give you an idea, according to the World Geological Association, there are thousands of rivers around the world filled with rare gemstones, hidden among the gravel that accumulates in the riverbed, forming what are known as alluvial deposits. However, many of these deposits stretch for miles downstream, and since there aren't enough people searching for them, many remain untouched. That means if you know where to look and what to look for, you could be one step away from finding a valuable gemstone. I know it sounds like a difficult task, and it's definitely not easy, but did you know that statistically, you're more likely to find a precious gemstone in a river than to win the lottery? So let's cut through all the talk and get straight to the point. To start the right way, let me help you answer a very simple but very important question. Where do diamonds come from? The first thing you need to understand before searching for any precious stone is how it forms. Diamonds don't appear by chance. They are created under extremely specific conditions. All diamonds, without exception, are made of pure crystallized carbon and are formed under immense pressure and extremely high temperatures, more than 160 kilometers below the Earth's surface. Some, like black diamonds, originate from space, formed during cosmic explosions. But in general, terrestrial diamonds take millions, or even billions of years to develop, as carbon atoms arrange themselves into a unique crystalline structure, resulting in the hardest natural substance known to science. If impurities from other elements are present during this process, diamonds can exhibit a variety of colors, ranging from pink, blue, orange, purple, and green to red, yellow, brown, black, and gray. Red diamonds are the rarest and most sought after of all. But in my opinion, the coolest of them all is the black diamond, because every single one of them came from space. But how exactly does a diamond travel from deep within the Earth to the surface? How do they reach us? The answer lies in kimberlite pipes, which are the primary host rock for diamonds. Deep within the Earth's crust, this rock remains in a molten state. But when a volcanic eruption occurs, magma carrying diamonds is violently ejected toward the surface. Once it reaches the surface, it cools rapidly and solidifies, trapping the diamonds inside the rock. Over time, these kimberlite deposits undergo erosion, gradually breaking apart due to the effects of water, wind, and temperature changes. This natural process releases the diamonds, allowing them to be carried away by rain and water currents, eventually transporting them to riverbeds and streams. This is how many diamonds end up accumulating in alluvial deposits, where they can be found mixed with gravel and sand. In other words, you don't need to invest in heavy equipment to get started. Often, a few sieves and access to a river are all you need. However, there's still one problem. How do you know if you found a diamond or just a common quartz crystal? Identifying a rough diamond isn't as hard as it seems. In fact, the hardest part is usually finding one. To give you an idea, one of the most impressive diamonds ever discovered proves that these gems can be hiding in the most unexpected places. That's the case of the Golden Canary, one of the most famous diamonds in the world. Unlike most diamonds, which are found by experienced miners or gemstone experts, the Golden Canary was discovered in a completely unexpected way. In the late 1980s, in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, a young girl was playing in a pile of mining rubble when she stumbled upon an unusual-looking stone. Not knowing what it was, she took it home and gave it to her uncle as a gift. Believing it was just a decorative rock, he kept it without thinking much about it. Sometime later, the girl's uncle needed to sell the stone to pay his rent. What he didn't know was that the rock he thought was worthless was actually one of the largest yellow diamonds ever discovered. He sold the stone to a local dealer for a symbolic price, and it passed through several hands before finally reaching experts who carefully examined it. That's when they realized it was an astonishing 890-carat rough diamond. After being cut, the diamond reached a final weight of 303.10 carats, becoming one of the largest yellow diamonds in the world. For years, this extraordinary gem passed through various owners, being displayed in museums and acquired by private collectors. Then, in 2022, the Golden Canary was auctioned and sold for over $12 million. The most incredible part of this story? This diamond could have been completely ignored and lost forever if not for the keen eye of a young girl playing in a pile of mining waste. And if her uncle had watched this video, he could have changed his family's financial future forever. Now, to make sure this doesn't happen to you, it's essential to understand the key characteristics of a rough diamond. But before we get into that, I want to hear your opinion. After hearing this story, do you still think finding diamonds is really that difficult? Well, the answer to that question isn't the main reason why diamonds are so valuable, but it is one of them. And even if you think you already know the answer, you should understand that diamonds are considered hard to find for two main reasons. First, they are only found in a few places around the world. Luckily, the United States is one of them. Second, only 30% of all mined diamonds are of high enough quality to be cut into gemstones. The remaining 70% are only suitable for industrial use, mainly as abrasive materials. On top of that, after a diamond is extracted, a professional cutter must shape and polish the stone to maximize its brilliance and beauty. Only then is a diamond ready to be sold in auction for millions of dollars. So to simplify the answer to our question, diamonds are considered rare not just because they are difficult to find and extract, but also because only a small percentage of them can be used in high-end jewelry. On top of that, reproducing their natural formation process is extremely difficult. At this point, you might be thinking, so does that mean I'll never be able to find a diamond in nature? Don't worry, statistically speaking, it's easier to find a diamond than to win the lottery. In other words, diamonds are rare, but they're not impossible to find. Some of them even fall from the sky, hitching a ride on meteorites from space. Just like black diamonds, which are believed to form during the explosion of supernova stars. Now, take a close look at the irregular-shaped stone appearing on your screen. This is a high-quality rough diamond. However, not all diamonds look like this. Some have irregular shapes, others are of industrial quality, but all of them have market value. To determine how valuable your stone is, it's important to understand the different shapes of rough diamonds, so you can tell whether your gem is worth a fortune or is only suitable for industrial use. Before being cut, diamonds occur in nature in various forms, shaped by their crystalline growth over millions of years. The most common shape is the octahedron, a symmetrical structure with 8 triangular faces, resembling 2 pyramids joined at the base. This natural shape makes cutting easier, as it allows for efficient faceting that enhances the diamond's brilliance. Another natural diamond shape is the dodecahedral, which has 12 pentagonal faces. Although less common than the octahedral shape, this type of diamond may have slightly rounded surfaces, making cutting more challenging in certain configurations. There are also twin diamonds, which form when 2 diamond crystals grow together, creating irregular angles and flat surfaces that make cutting them into well-proportioned gems more difficult. In addition to these, there are alluvial diamonds, which have undergone erosion and been transported by rivers over time. This natural movement wears down the crystal's edges, making them more rounded and less angular compared to diamonds found in their primary deposits. But what if you find an industrial quality diamond? Should you give up searching and head home? Absolutely not. If you find any diamond, even a low quality one, consider yourself lucky. Because if there's any diamond in your area, it's only a matter of time before you find one with a higher market value. I know it sounds like something out of a movie, but the truth is that in some parts of the world, this happens more often than you might think. So how do you know if a river contains gemstones? Well, in the past, most of the modern technologies we have today didn't exist. Yet prospectors all over the world still manage to find high-value gemstones, including some of the largest diamonds ever discovered, worth millions of dollars. That's why the techniques you'll see in this video may be old, but they are highly effective. And if they worked for those prospectors, they can work for you too. So the best way to know for sure is to look directly at the riverbed, following this video as a step-by-step guide to finding valuable gemstones in any river in your area, including those that have already dried up. Besides, you'll also learn that gemstones found in nature don't always look like the polished jewels you see in rings or necklaces. In most cases, they have a rough and irregular texture. Some stones, like topaz and agate, are slightly softer, and due to the natural movement of water, they often take on a rounded, almost polished shape, especially when found in rivers and waterfalls. And that's exactly why so many people miss out on incredible opportunities. They pick up what seems like an ordinary rock, not realizing they're actually holding a high-value mineral in their hands. Later in this video, I'll show you a detailed breakdown of each type of gemstone, so you can finally tell whether that colorful stone you found is a true gemstone or just an ordinary crystal. The first thing you need to understand before we dive into how to find gemstones is the geological process that brings these valuable stones to alluvial deposits in riverbeds. Most precious stones, like diamonds, are formed deep within the earth, inside molten magma, under extreme heat and pressure. Over millions of years, natural geological processes, including volcanic eruptions, erosion, and shifting tectonic plates, bring these gemstones closer to the surface. As lava cools, the movement of water, whether from heavy rainfall or flowing rivers, plays a crucial role in transporting these gems, carrying thousands of valuable stones from their original formations to riverbeds. Many of the stones that are swept along by rivers develop a smooth, polished appearance due to constant friction and impact with other rocks. Over time, this natural process gives them a rounded shape and a smooth surface, making them easier to identify for gem hunters. This phenomenon is known as tumbling or pebble rolling, and it's very common among gemstones found in rivers. Although less common than quartz, topaz can also be found in rivers. It usually appears as a transparent stone with subtle blue or yellow hues. Due to natural water erosion, topaz can sometimes resemble quartz, but there are a few ways to tell them apart. One of the main characteristics of topaz is that it's significantly heavier than quartz due to its higher density. Additionally, topaz is much harder, which means it won't scratch easily like quartz. If you find a stone that you suspect might be topaz but aren't sure, try comparing it to a quartz of similar size. If the weight is noticeably greater, there's a high chance that it's topaz. Another simple way to confirm if a stone is topaz is by performing a relative density test using a precision scale in water. Since topaz has a higher density than quartz, this test can help in its identification. In terms of value, raw topaz can range from $20 to $200 per kilogram, depending on its quality and color. Blue topaz, in particular, is highly sought after and can be cut into stunning jewelry, increasing its market price even further. Garnets are another precious gemstone that can be found in rivers. While they exist in a variety of colors, the most common is deep red, often referred to as Cape ruby. However, despite its name, garnet is not actually a ruby. It's a completely different gemstone with its own unique properties. As garnets are transported by river currents, they tend to develop a rounded shape due to their dodecahedral crystal structure. This means that, unlike many other valuable gemstones, Garnets can often be recognized by their almost spherical form and their natural luster. Another distinctive characteristic of garnets is their weight. They are relatively dense, making them feel heavier than expected for their size. If you come across a reddish or brownish-red stone and notice that it's significantly heavier than a regular rock, you might be holding a garnet. The value of garnets varies depending on their color and clarity. The most valuable specimens are those with vibrant red hues and minimal inclusions. When cut and polished, high-quality garnets can be worth over $50 per gram, making them a valuable discovery for any gem hunter. Among the most valuable gemstones that can be found in rivers are rubies and sapphires. Both belong to the corundum mineral family, and the only difference between them is their color. If it's red, it's a ruby. Any other color, including blue, yellow, green, and even colorless varieties, is classified as a sapphire. These stones are extremely hard, ranking just below diamonds on the Mohs hardness scale. This means they are highly resistant to scratches from other common gemstones, making them incredibly durable over time. That durability explains why rubies and sapphires can still be found in riverbeds, even after centuries of erosion, especially in regions where ancient mountain ranges have eroded over thousands of years. In some cases, fragments of these minerals break loose from rock formations and are carried by the river current, eventually settling in gravel beds where they can be identified by their vibrant colors and intense natural luster. Even lower quality specimens can be worth thousands of dollars per kilogram, while high-quality rubies and sapphires can reach up to $100,000 per gram. This makes the search for rubies and sapphires an extremely profitable pursuit for those who know how to identify them correctly. Among all the precious gemstones found in nature, diamonds are undoubtedly the most sought after. Formed deep within the earth under extreme heat and pressure, diamonds are composed of pure crystallized carbon, giving them their unmistakable brilliance and exceptional hardness. Diamonds reach the surface through volcanic eruptions and are primarily found in kimberlite rock formations. Over millions of years, erosion gradually breaks down these kimberlite deposits, allowing diamond-bearing fragments to be carried into riverbeds, where they settle among fine gravel and sediment. As the river current flows, it can transport diamonds for miles downstream, sometimes even depositing them on beaches where rivers meet the ocean. Finding a diamond in a river is rare, but not impossible. Experienced prospectors spend days sifting through gravel and panning along riverbanks before uncovering even a single stone. However, there have been cases where people have accidentally discovered small diamonds while simply exploring riverbeds or engaging in outdoor activities in areas historically known for mining. The key to identifying a raw diamond lies in its distinctive physical characteristics. Unlike other precious stones, a diamond has a unique luster and an extremely hard surface, capable of scratching any material except another diamond. If you suspect you've found a diamond, there are a few practical tests you can perform. One of the most well-known is the glass test. If you rub the stone against a regular glass surface and it scratches the glass without being damaged, there's a high chance that it's a diamond. Additionally, its intense sparkle and noticeable weight compared to other stones of the same size can be other strong indicators. The value of a diamond varies significantly depending on its size, color, and clarity. A small raw diamond can sell for up to $1,000, while larger, high-quality stones can be worth millions. To confirm its authenticity, the best option is to take the stone to a certified gemologist, who can examine it using professional-grade equipment. In addition to common quartz, as we've already mentioned, there is a very special variety that can also be found in rivers: amethyst. This gemstone is one of the most valuable members of the quartz family, known for its beautiful purple color, which can range from a soft lavender hue to a deep, intense violet. Amethyst forms inside volcanic cavities known as geodes, and in some cases, fragments of these geodes break apart and are carried into rivers. Like many other gemstones found in riverbeds, amethysts that have been shaped by water gradually develop a rounded appearance and can sometimes be mistaken for ordinary rocks. However, their distinctive purple color makes them much easier to identify. Even in its raw form, amethyst already has an eye-catching sparkle, but when cut and polished, its clarity and color saturation become even more valuable. A kilogram of raw amethyst can be worth between $20 and $50, depending on the stone's quality. When cut into jewelry, high-quality amethyst can reach even higher prices, especially if they have vivid coloration and minimal inclusions. Now, imagine yourself walking along a riverbed, scanning the rocks around you, when suddenly something unusual catches your attention, a vibrant colored gemstone embedded in a common rock. But how do you extract it without damaging the stone? Well, this is where having the right tools for gem prospecting makes all the difference. Sometimes, something as simple as a spray bottle can reveal the true color and brilliance of a stone covered in dust or mud. UV flashlights can highlight minerals that react to ultraviolet light, making it easier to identify rare gemstones. Additionally, screens of different sizes help separate lighter materials from heavier gemstones, while gold pans can be extremely useful, not just for gold prospecting, but also for concentrating heavy minerals and exposing hidden gemstones that might otherwise go unnoticed. And of course, rubber boots are essential for ensuring safety in unstable terrains, especially in rivers where slippery algae can make the ground dangerous to walk on. Using the right prospecting tools can significantly increase your chances of finding something truly valuable. After all, being in the right place isn't enough. You need the knowledge and proper resources to identify what's truly worth keeping. The idea of walking along a river, exploring the banks, and sifting through gravel in search of a precious gemstone might sound like something out of an adventure movie. But in reality, this practice has changed the lives of many people who were lucky enough to find a rare and valuable gem. If you want to increase your chances of success, focus on rivers that run through areas rich in mineral deposits or regions with a history of volcanic activity, as these locations are the most promising. In many cases, rivers near old mines or historically known prospecting areas can contain gemstones that have been carried downstream over time. Now, let's say you followed all the steps and ended up finding an interesting stone, but how do you know if it has any value? Fortunately, there are simple at-home tests that can help determine whether it's a precious gemstone or just a common mineral, without the need to spend money on specialized equipment. One of the first tests is the weight test. Some gemstones, such as topaz and garnets, are significantly heavier than common rocks of the same size. To check for this, you can perform a density test, which involves calculating the weight-to-volume ratio of the stone dot. Another affordable and effective test is the Mohs hardness test, which is now appearing on your screen. Precious gemstones are generally much harder and more resistant than common minerals. A classic example is the scratch test. Quartz can be scratched by a steel blade, while stones like sapphires, rubies, and diamonds remain completely unaffected. If a stone cannot be scratched by a blade or even by glass, it could be a high-hardness gemstone. The transparency test can also be useful. Holding the stone up to the light and observing its internal brilliance can help identify gems like sapphires, topaz, and high-quality quartz. Additionally, analyzing the way light reflects on the surface of the stone can reveal optical properties characteristic of precious gemstones. If after performing these tests you're still unsure about the stone you found, you can take it to a gemologist or a specialized jeweler who can analyze it using professional equipment such as high-powered magnifying loupes and spectroscopes, which help accurately determine the composition and value of a gemstone. However, be careful, because dishonest professionals might try to trick you into selling your gemstone for far less than it's actually worth. And believe it or not, this happens all the time. Many people have unknowingly sold rare and valuable gemstones for just a few cents, not realizing they were holding a true treasure in their hands. To avoid this kind of situation, you need to know exactly what you have before selling it. That means learning how to perform simple but highly effective tests like the density test and Mohs hardness test to ensure that no one convinces you to sell a diamond for the price of a sapphire, which is often significantly cheaper. The good news is you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on expensive equipment to do this. With our digital book, Gemology Journey for Beginners, you'll learn step-by-step how to identify your gemstones without costly tools. Plus, this ebook includes an exclusive collector's chart listing every known precious gemstone in the world, along with a complete guide on how to identify real diamonds using simple at-home tests that anyone can perform. Normally, this kind of knowledge would cost you $20, but for a limited time, the first 10 subscribers who click the first link in the description will receive a special 50% discount, allowing you to access all this valuable information for just $10. Now let's suppose you finally found a diamond. How can you be sure it's real? There are 3 simple and inexpensive tests you can do at home to check your stone safely. But before performing them, it's important to understand the specific characteristics of a diamond. The first thing you need to know is that diamond is the hardest natural material in the world, ranking 10 on the Mohs scale. This means it can scratch any other mineral without being damaged. However, it is not indestructible. Its weakness lies in cleavage, meaning that if struck at the right angle, it can break. Another defining characteristic is its adamantine luster, which reflects light so intensely that it creates a dazzling sparkle no other stone can perfectly imitate. Its texture also varies depending on its state. A rough diamond can appear opaque and rough, while a cut diamond is incredibly smooth and brilliant. The first test is to use the Mohs scale. Since diamond has a hardness of 10 and ruby has a hardness of 9, you can use a file made with industrial ruby powder and try to scratch the stone. If it's a real diamond, it won't suffer any damage because nothing can scratch it except another diamond. Materials like glass, quartz, and topaz, on the other hand, will show scratches. The second test involves placing the stone over a newspaper or a piece of paper with small letters. If you can see the letters through it, it's probably not a diamond. That's because its crystal structure refracts light so intensely that it prevents a clear view of what's behind it. And the third test is very simple. Breathe on the stone as if you were trying to fog up a glass. If it's a real diamond, the fog will disappear almost instantly because it doesn't retain heat. If the mist takes a few seconds to fade, it's more likely to be glass or zirconia. You can also use a UV flashlight. Some diamonds glow a deep blue under ultraviolet light. Moreover, if you observe the structure of a rough diamond, you'll notice that its crystal patterns are unique. The beauty and brilliance of diamonds are unmistakable characteristics, but the final cutting process is what truly makes a gem valuable, along with its color and size. That's because only after being cut does a diamond reveal the hidden beauty within its crystalline structure. So if you're not particularly interested in hunting for gemstones, another way to make a living with these precious stones is by cutting them. The ability to reveal the true essence of these gems is a highly valued skill even today. Cutting, on the other hand, is a process that involves shaping, polishing, and finishing a rough stone. The goal of cutting is to maximize the beauty and value of the diamond while minimizing its imperfections. This process requires specialized tools such as saws, grinding wheels, cutting discs, and polishing equipment, as well as specific techniques for each type of stone. If you're interested in learning these skills, you can check out our course in the first link of the description once it becomes available. Once a diamond is cut, it's ready to be sold. And that brings up an important question. Where can you sell your diamonds? Most people don't realize this, but diamonds are sold in diamond exchanges. And to make that happen, they need to be certified by authorized gemological laboratories. That's because there's an entire market dedicated to investing in and trading diamonds as financial assets. In case you didn't know, there are many diamond exchanges worldwide where you can sell diamonds for a profit. However, the major exchanges include the Israel Diamond Exchange, the Diamond Dealers Club in New York, and the DMCC in Dubai. But before rushing to sell diamonds, it's important to take a few precautions to ensure you're making a profitable deal. There are many investors who act as intermediaries between sellers and buyers, and they will do everything they can to secure a lower price, only to resell the same diamond for a much higher value. And finally, did you know there are more than 7 different colors of diamonds? That's right, and each color plays a major role in determining the diamond's final value. However, going back to the test, there's something very important you cannot ignore if your stone didn't pass any of them. Should you just throw it away? No, you should never discard a gemstone or crystal without knowing exactly what it is. Many gems resemble diamonds, and even if they're not as valuable, they can still have a decent market value. Some lesser-known stones can be surprising, and there are countless stories of people who thought they had a common rock, only to discover later that it was a rare and valuable gem. If after these tests you still aren't sure about your stone, the best option is to take it to a gemologist or a specialist jeweler. They have the right equipment, such as magnifying lupus and spectroscopes, which help accurately identify the composition and value of the gem. But be careful, dishonest professionals may try to deceive you, offering a price far below what your stone is actually worth. This happens all the time, and many people have sold rare gemstones for pennies, not realizing they had a hidden treasure in their hands. So to avoid this kind of mistake, you need to know exactly what you have before selling it. That means learning how to perform simple, yet highly effective tests such as the density test and hardness test, ensuring that no one convinces you to sell a diamond for the price of a sapphire, which can be much cheaper. The good news is that you don't need to spend thousands of dollars on equipment to do this. In our digital book, Gemology Journey for Beginners, you'll learn step-by-step how to identify gemstones without expensive tools. This ebook includes an exclusive collector's table listing all known gemstones, along with a complete guide to recognizing real diamonds using easy at-home tests that anyone can do. Normally, this knowledge costs $20, but for a limited time, the first 10 people who access the first link in the description will receive a special 50% discount, meaning you can get all this valuable information for just $10. Hard to believe? Click the first link in the description and learn how to identify your gemstones with confidence. Don't expect a single stone to change your life overnight. But remember, statistically, it's easier to find a gemstone in nature than to win the lottery. And depending on where you live, you may be able to search for diamonds without needing a license. But if this isn't the right time for you, that's okay. You can still subscribe to the channel for free and watch our weekly videos packed with practical tips on how to identify and find gemstones. Plus, the next video will take you one step further in your journey. In it, you'll learn practical techniques to find valuable gemstones, including diamonds, topaz, and tourmalines. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. Good luck, Gem Hunter!